Hey everybody, it's Danielle here from DKW Styling. Okay, so if you are new to my videos, usually I try and keep them short, and I usually do share some kind of a hair technique or secret or whatever I'm loving at the moment. And then I also do a little bit of personal styling, so I try and incorporate my look of the week. So today, specifically, this video I'm going to be talking about hair extensions. Over the years of experimenting with just about every method of extensions on my own hair, using myself as a guinea pig, I always get people from out of state and places that say, you know, I would love to come to you. I currently work in Utah and Arizona, and I have people say, I love your videos, I want to come to you, but obviously flying there every, 6 to 8 weeks is not going to happen. So in this video, I wanted to share with my viewers kind of what to look for when you're looking for a new stylist, and specifically for hair extensions. So, I have fine hair texture, so I'm really picky. I feel like if you have a little bit thicker hair, you can kind of play around a little bit more because your hair, you have more to cover the extensions, and it's also stronger. So I feel like you may like several different techniques, but as for me, with all the experimenting I've done and creating my own method, which I call natural beaded rose, I'm going to share things that you should look for. Okay, so when looking for a new stylist, obviously you want to make sure that you like their hair and their style. You make sure they're up to date and that you kind of, you like what you see. Also, another tip that I tell people, make sure that they're not brand new at doing hair. Because even if they're, they're good and they have an eye for it, you want somebody who just has maybe a little bit more experience. I always tell people like 3 to 5 years and you're probably safe. And so you want to make sure you find somebody who's also tried, a couple different hair extensions on their own hair. And I believe that you should find somebody who has the method that they're going to be doing on your hair in their own hair. Because to me, this means that they trust their work and they know how it's going to hold up and look and maintain and things like that. I personally, the way I do extensions is I do them on a row. I feel like less is more, so I put more hair on each row to create the same look but less damage on your hair. I use this really awesome hair, it's called hand-tied hair, because it allows me to put more hair on each row. Now, I don't know if you're an extension lover like myself, and you get this, and you're blonde, or even a brunette, but specifically let's talk about blondes, and you get this awesome, see how that's like a really pretty like a white blonde, and then like a kind of a caramely beigey blonde. And then the extension hair fades and it goes kind of yellow. So here's what I would recommend doing. On my own hair extensions, I usually mix in a couple different colors. Maybe just like 1 or 2 pieces is all. So I buy, for my own hair, I get kind of the mixed blonde color, and then I also get just kind of like a nice platinum blonde. And I usually only mix 1 piece because I don't want to be too blonde. It's actually a lot blonder when you get it in. The other thing that I like to do is I usually will take a piece of this kind of mixed blonde color, and I'll dye it kind of like my natural brown color. This way your extensions, because all extensions fade, this way when your extension hair fades, if you have a couple different colors in there, it cuts the yellow or the gold. When my clients come to me, I color their hair and I color their extensions all in one time because I don't want it just to look good when they leave the door. I also want it to look good when they come back 6 weeks later, and I don't want their extensions to be faded yellow and their top to be platinum blonde. Another thing that I'm going to recommend that you have to do is make sure these underneath pieces of your real hair match your extensions. I see so many girls with their natural hair peeking through and it doesn't blend. It may blend, with the top, but you have to color these. A trick that I do with my extensions, with my highlights under here, I don't like to touch my highlights all the way at the roots because when you pull your hair out, you can see where, each streak of where the highlight was. So I usually just highlight the last, 4 inches of my hair and then just touch a base color up at my roots so that my natural roots are colored, but I don't have these blonde streaks. That way, and I also paint kind of a base color or a darker color on the top of my extensions. Here is kind of an old track, but I don't know if you can tell in this lighting how I've just slightly colored a little bit of that brown on the top. This hides better in your hair, specifically for blondes. It also helps underneath here because I leave, like I said, I leave the roots kind of a little bit darker. Helps hide, cover, blend if you're pulling up and things like that. So those, if you are considering hair extensions, those are a few tricks and tips. Another thing I want to share with you is, with my experience of having fine hair, I prefer a track versus a single. Now, if you're an extension junkie like myself and you're like, I've tried them all, I think with fine hair, the tracks are a little bit better on your hair and easier to hide because we don't have as much hair as all you girls with thick hair, so we have less to work with. So if it's in a smaller area of your head, even though it may feel like a sheet of hair, it is easier to hide because if you have, you know, say beaded singles, glue-in singles, sew-in singles, whatever kind of singles you have and you have fine hair, it's a little bit harder to pull your hair up and hide and blend and things like that. One thing I'll say about singles is you get a little bit more movement. So some of my clients that have thicker hair, they've said, oh, I've tried singles and I like them and I felt like I could pull my hair up good and easy and that kind of thing. But one thing that my clients say is they love that they get the same results with a track as they do with singles in half the amount of time. Another thing I want to tell you, ladies, if you're considering hair extensions are maintenance. So you need to just plan on, you know, it's like a car payment, okay? You pay, I'm sure if you're an extension girl, you drive a nice car. So let's just say every day you drive your car and you have your car payment. Let's just say every day you wear your hair extensions. So just plan on having about the same kind of payment for your hair extensions to maintain it and look well. I think people have a hard time paying for the hair, and so I always tell them, just consider it to be a car payment. You know, you're wearing it every day, you love it, you feel good. Okay, so another trick that I wanted to share with you guys for stylists out there that currently do extensions, or you could share this with your stylist, is when cutting extensions, you always want to layer or slide cut or razor into them first. When I first started doing hair extensions, I would always ask my clients, you know, where would you like the length? And we'd cut the length and then we'd start layering into it and slide cutting and that kind of thing. And I'm like, crap. And they're always thinking, I wish we would have left it a couple inches longer. So go in, layer it, slide cut it around the face, get it all textured, and then just go in and clean up your length, and just that way you're not cutting too much off, but you have enough movement in there. I see too many extensions where they're just kind of heavy on the bottom, and because they're afraid to cut anything out because the client doesn't want any length off. So layer first and then decide on your length. Another thing I want to share with people are always asking me, how long does the hair last? Well, with singles, when they do a rotation, they usually give you a section of new hair every time you're in there, about every, 6 to 8 weeks. But with singles, they usually only rotate a few at a time. Same with the rows. I would say probably like every other time, or maybe every third time you're in there, you want to add a few new pieces of hair. Now, initially, you're going to have to buy all new hair. I personally like hair better after you've kind of washed and played and styled it, because that silicone fake look kind of wears off and it looks more natural. I know we'd all love to have Barbie hair, but we don't. So it blends better after you've washed it a few times. But then after a few times, you're like, oh, it thinned out a little bit. And this is with all hair that I've ever experimented with, and with every method. So I would say like every third time, add new hair. But like I said, usually with the singles, they add new hair each time because I feel like those thin out a little bit quicker. So one of the reasons that I personally feel that singles are harder on fine hair versus a track is, and I know there's methods out there that they say absolutely guarantees no damage. I honestly have experimented with so many different methods, and so I'm just speaking off my own experience. I notice that the single extensions, because you don't rotate a whole head each time, I feel like if you have a single extension that's been sitting on there for more than probably 5 weeks, let's say they rotated on like the third rotation, which is more like 3 or 4 months out, my single extension was literally hanging on 2 hairs. So that's why I personally don't like single extensions, because in my opinion, extensions need to be maintained every 6 weeks. And to maintain a head of singles, to actually take them out and put them new ones in every single time, it would take you like 6 hours at the salon every 6 weeks. And most people don't like to do that, and that's why they do what is called a rotation, where they only take out certain areas of the extensions. But like I said, I feel like if you leave that extension on for a long period of time, it's just hanging on one piece of hair, and that's why I prefer rows. And I literally take them completely out and put them back in every 6 weeks and try and kind of look at the hair, and if there's somewhere where it is pulling, kind of put it in a different area. I always tell people, over time, and I'm going to be really, really honest with you here, and every extension junkie out there knows what I'm talking about. Over time, all hair extensions are damaging. Even if you have really nice thick hair, there's going to be a little bit of damage. The only difference is if you have really nice thick hair, you're not going to notice the difference as much because you're the girl that's going in every 6 weeks and having your hair thinned or textured or whatever. So anyways, that is just kind of some advice from me as far as based off of my experience with myself having fine hair and different types of extensions that I've experimented with. So I hope that that kind of helps and gives you some tips and tricks as far as what to look for in a new stylist and that kind of thing. Okay, so one thing that I want to talk about that's very important when finding a new stylist also is you want to make sure I have like a 3-time minimum. So what I mean by that is when you go to a new stylist, you want to give them like 3 times, unless it's a total disaster in the first time, because I feel like it takes, myself as a stylist, I've noticed it takes me, once or twice to kind of get used to what their style is, as well as how their hair takes color. And a lot of times my clients come in, they're like, I love it, but maybe let's add a few more highlights around the face. So if you're constantly the client that's bouncing around from stylist to stylist, it's hard for a stylist to get to know you and your hair and your style. And I would recommend if you like the way they did your hair, to make sure you give them a 3-time minimum before you decide if you're going to continue to go to them. Another thing that I wanted to share with you guys that I was really excited about is really quick on the topic of hair extensions. If you have hair extensions, a client actually introduced me to this product and I love it. It's amazing. It's by Macadamia, which is an all-natural product. It's a nourishing leave-in cream. So I don't know if you can see, it's kind of like a creamy, I guess that's why it's called a cream. But I would recommend putting this on wet hair, and I put a little bit of this on my hair extensions the other day and kind of just air dried it, and it made them feel so soft, less dry, less frizzy, and that kind of thing. So my client Sherry actually introduced me to this, said she loved it. I thought I'd give it a try, and I really like it. So if you currently have hair extensions, no matter what type you use, I really like this product. I probably wouldn't put it on my real hair as much because it is a little bit heavier, but great for hair extensions. So I wanted to show you that. I also want to talk to you about my look of the week. Oh, and I'll talk about my braid. So I was just kind of playing around, and I did just kind of a French braid. I feel like this is kind of like a runway braid, but I like pulled it apart. If you love it, comment and I'll do a video on how I did it. It's super easy, and I just think it's cute and easy when you don't want to wash your hair. Okay, we're going to talk about my look of the week. So I have on just this cute button up from J. Crew. I've noticed with the collared shirts, everybody's buttoning them like all the way up to the top. I had a necklace on earlier, but then you wear kind of a necklace underneath it. That's really, really cute. Another thing I love doing with like long sleeve shirts is throwing like a cute cuff over your shirt. So I kind of just threw this over that. And then my pants, I have on like this shirt's like black and white and it has little hearts on it. I don't know if you can tell. And then I threw it on with some really bright cobalt blue skinny denim. And then I wore these in my video last time, but I love them. They're from Zara. They're just really cute. And I think these two colors, the blue and this kind of a wine purple color, go really well together. So anyways, that is my look of the week. My little cuff is just from Forever 21, and this whole ensemble is from J. Crew. Okay, so thanks you guys for tuning in. You can also find me on Pinterest if you want to see more of my style and some of my pins and things like that, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, or I also have a blog. So you can check me out at dkwstyling.com, click on my blog, and we'll see you guys next week.